All commercials for this podcast will be broadcasted at the end of the episode. Welcome to the Tushaar show. In this episode, we will be talking about Sandy and Prem. In the last 2-3 episodes, I spoke about how my parents helped me on this path of podcasting. By the way, if this is an episode you're hearing randomly, I'm giving you the context and the background. I'm talking about this calling of podcasting for me, how various people and factors influenced it, and what I think are the main ones. So this is what I'm covering till now. I covered how my maternal grandfather influenced me by being good to my mother. I am covering how my mother and my father influenced me by being good parents. Covering how my sister influenced me by being a naughty sister, or being a sister. Sisters are meant to be naughty, I guess. Okay, don't take that the wrong way. When she was young, she was naughty. Now she's a good sister. She's a sweet girl. So I don't think I'm going to edit it. I think I'm going to. This is a non-edited podcast. I may just pause the button sometimes if I'm getting a lot of laugh, or if I want to switch my mood to something a little more energetic. Like this. Like the mood becomes more energetic all of a sudden. But I'm going to continue speaking very normally. There's going to be only post-production work which will enhance the sound effects of this podcast. But it's going to be a very raw and unedited podcast. So there may be these double meaning sentences sometimes which will be unintentional, like what I just said before. Sometimes can be intentional, which I would save for a very special moment, I guess, because there are going to be very few of those. So enjoy the ones that come out unintentionally. Okay, so moving on. Yep. So my sister was a very notorious kid. Well, that's the right way to use it. My sister was a very notorious kid, and my parents were good parents. And for my 13th birthday, or my 12th birthday, I think, my 12th or my 13th birthday, my father was on a UN mission. So I already told you that my father is an Indian Army doctor. His name is sensitive information. Thus, I will not reveal it unless you've heard one of my previous podcasts, the first podcast of the Tushaar show, which is with him. I think that is after the zero, the podcast. The first episode titled The First Episode, not number 1, A Fresh Start. The season 1 first episode is with him. So I think this is a good idea to send you back and listen to one more episode over there. By the way, if you listen to my podcast on a network called Radio Public, you can find my podcast there too. I think I'll link it in the show notes. I get paid listens, so I'm not putting any ads. I just tell you to go and listen to it on Radio Public. If you listen to more than half my episode on Radio Public, I get 2 cents for every listen, or every download, as they say. So that will be really helpful if you could download Radio Public and listen to my podcast from there and stream it from there. It'll be as good as your regular services like Stitcher or Castbox or SoundCloud. It'll be available on Radio Public too, but I get 2 cents for a listen, and that's a very big deal because it looks like this is going to be my job, and I don't know. I don't know about college yet. It's a little unsure. I may go. I don't want to comment about it right now I'm not being asked to comment about it either. So why would I? But anyway, if I'm going to make podcasting a profession or even earn a little money out of it, because right now I'm earning infinity, but I don't have any cash in hand, like no physical cash, but I've earned a lot of value. Let's say that I've earned a lot of value and lessons and life lessons, but not physical money. Okay, I was on my 13th birthday or 13th birthday. And my father was, okay, which year was this? He was abroad in 2012. So this was my 13th birthday. I turned 13 years old and I was given a very special gift. I thought it would be a special gift. He gave me a book called The 7 Highly Efficient Habits for Highly Efficient Teenagers. I slept off by the time I read that title. And I was like, yuck, 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 yuck. Who would write such a book? Sean Covey wrote such a book. Sean Covey. And Stephen Covey, his father, has written the legendary self-development book, The 7 Highly Efficient Habits for Highly Efficient Adults or People. And he wrote the teenager version of that. And that was the yuckiest thing I'd ever seen, at least at that time. But that was the start of self-development for this legend named Tushaar Anand Madhu. At that time his name was A.M. Tushaar, Anand Madhu Tushaar. But there's a very special story behind why his name changed from A.M. Tushaar to Tushaar A.M. And that story is that his 10th standard class teacher wrote his name as Tushaar A.M., Tushaar Anand Madhu. And the 10th standard board certificate, the mark certificate which comes from the education board said Tushaar Anand Madhu, so the name stuck, Tushaar Anand Madhu. Before that, my parents and me were a little confused whether it was A.M. Tushaar or Tushaar A.M. Anyway, apart from the nicknames of people calling me A.M. Tushaar or A.M., PM and making fun of my name, A.M. PM, making fun of the fact that I'm awake only during the daytime. I don't know what kind of jokes they created, because you can create a joke out of nearly anything. If you're sorry friends, if you're a dumb kid, you can create a joke out of anything. No, you need to be smart for creating jokes out of anything. But I mean, once they know it affects you, that's going to stick forever. So if you're being teased, just keep acting like it doesn't affect you. Let it not affect you. They can't tease you forever, I guess. Let's get back to the topic. My father gave me this personal development book. I resisted it, but after 3 or 4 months of it lying around on my table and shelf, this was in Udhampur. This was in Jammu and Kashmir. We were posted over there between the years 2010 to 2013, mid of 2013. So in 2012, I read this book, and to be honest, it inspired me. I shouldn't have judged that book by its title. If he had given a cooler title for teenagers, I guess more people would be reading it. But that was a very long title. But it was fun. It was a really fun read, and I tried to follow the things that the book said to the word. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to become a more confident young boy. I wanted to be a more confident young boy because I wanted to be able to speak to this one special girl in the class. I was in 7th then, I think. And I had very little courage to speak to her. And I wanted to be less of a shy boy and more of a free spirit, which I think I am now in many ways. In a lot of ways. I am a free spirit, people. I'm a free spirit. But that was my motive and incentive to read that, to kind of implement the habits of that book. So I tried a lot. I think I improved a lot during those days. Didn't I didn't muster the courage. I did muster some courage probably, but it may have not been phenomenal. But let's give it up to that young 7 standard Tushar who tried his best to speak to that special girl. And she listens to these podcasts. So she'll always remain special. And that's where the journey of personal development began. Like real personal development. And I got interested in more personal development. So I read, I think, Ultimate Power, or I read a red book by Anthony Robbins. But I read just, I think, 10 pages of it, and he had written about some abduction of some girl in a park or something. And I asked my mother, what does abduction mean? I asked her, and I was in 7 then. I asked her what abduction means, and I think she was raped also. I asked her what raped mean, and she didn't tell me what it meant. And she said that I shouldn't read that book now, I should read it at a later date. I never read the book. But yeah, I think it had some adult content. Interesting. Very interesting. Personal development and adult content in the same pages. And if this interested you to read the book, I would say go ahead. But that was a sad story. That was nothing really funny. That was a sad story, and let's keep it serious. I'm sorry. Getting back to self-development. From Udhampur, I shifted to Pune. In Pune, I went for a meditation camp organized by Sandy and Prem. And they have 2 daughters. I forget their names. I can remember it. I can remember it if I try hard. But let's keep it to Sandy and Prem, who organized this camp for teenagers. And I had the best time of my life there. It was a 1-day sleepover in a natural kind of park. And there was this ecotourism something. This was in Pune. Somewhere close to Pune, there was a big camp sort of thing laid out. And there was a lot of fun activities. And there was tree hugging. And we would sit in these circles and we would discuss things. And that's when I realized I had a very deep side to me. I had a very soulful, cheerful, happy, and joyful side to me. I realized in this meditation camp. It was a mindfulness camp. And that's when I was introduced to the concept of mindfulness, of sitting down and just breathing. And I hadn't meditated before that. That was a life changer. That was in 8th standard. In the summer break of 8th standard. That was a life changer. And there were so many didis, kind of girls there who were 5 or 6 years elder to me. There were a lot of girls over there. And there were 2-3 boys who were my age. 4-5 boys who were my age. And these girls, they all found me to be a very sweet boy. And I didn't realize it then. But there was this exercise that Sandy and Prem and Carl, shout out to all you people, Sandy, Prem, Carl. If you hear this podcast, if you're hearing this podcast, I owe a lot to you. They made us do this exercise at the end of the workshop, in which you wrote a note to everybody. So we took out 2 hours and we wrote a note to 19 people, like, hey, I had fun with you. Hey, this was great. Hey. And they made us make a treasure box. So you remember I told you about a treasure box in which I kept a photo album of my maternal grandfather, Brigadier V. Parthasarthi, who was in his army uniform. So that photo album is kept in this treasure box that I made in the camp. So very crucial parts of my life, very crucial treasures of my life. And they made us make a treasure box to keep like collectible things, and I kept some stones and pebbles and uh, some leaves inside the box at that time. But later on I filled it with other things and collectibles inside my house. I just picked my nose for the people to imagine how it's like to be sitting and speaking. I was picking my nose right now. I know you didn't need to hear it, but I just had to say it. It's my show. I'm just reminding you that I can do anything on the show. So I was picking my nose. I'm not picking it right now. And you don't need to worry about me picking my nose ever on the show. If I'm picking my nose, I make it a point to tell you that I'm picking my nose, like right now. And now I'm not. Right? Let's go ahead. I shall also tell you if I fart in the middle of the show, so you can recreate it for yourself over there. And if my mother comes and disturbs me, or my dog comes and disturbs me, so it's real time for you. Anyway, where was I? I was at the treasure box, and then I was at the thing that I put leaves over there, picking my nose still. Something is disturbing me. Something is just disturbing me. Maybe I'll wipe my nose and come after the podcast. Yep, I'm not going to do it anymore. So, this photo album. Okay, where were we? Yes, so there was this exercise in which we wrote a note to everyone, right? And there was this girl, Jenny, who said that you're really smart and funny. And I love this Jenny. I love her. But I don't remember who she is. I don't remember what she looks like. If I could just meet Jenny again, I'd go and confess my love to her, my eternal love to her. But I really don't know who I don't have any contact number. I have nothing on her. Her name is Jenny. So if you know any Jenny, and if she came for a meditation summer camp to this place in Pune with Sandy and Prem, be very specific about these details. Please tell her that I love her a lot for writing those words, and she made me believe that I am a funny person. And I keep reading her note again and again and again, and it's such a cute name. It's such a nice name, Jenny. Like, just imagine someone like Jenny telling you that you're funny, and I don't remember who Jenny is or what she looks like or where she is. I have a faint recollection probably of her having maybe kind of wavy hair. Does this match the description of any of your friends? Please help me out. So that was Sandy and Prem, and that they introduced me to mindfulness. This note exercise was a very, very helpful exercise. I didn't realize how meaningful and helpful it was when they made us do the exercise. But when I suddenly found the box one day and I read the messages again, I felt so good because the energy remains the same. And that's when I realized the magic of that summer camp, that meditation course, one day, which my mother sent me to. So again, I'm telling you, these are all crucial roles. My mother sent me to this camp. I did these exercises which are helping me even today, because I read these messages from these various people, and I'm very thankful to them. Just give a shout out to some of the names I remember. Pushkar, and I remember Dhaval, but Dhaval was from another camp, not this camp. Dhaval was from the camp after the second summer camp I attended. I attended 3 camps with Sandy and Prem. And there's Netra. Okay, I'll tell you about Netra and the other summer camps another time. That'll be a fun podcast to talk about. But this was when I realized that there is more to me and I can be a better brother to Suchita. And this is where I started kind of getting the strength, and I read more personal development, I think. And I tried to follow Stephen Covey's and Sean Covey's work again with greater depth to become a greater brother in various different ways. And also for becoming a better student and being a good student in school and being a good prefect. I was a prefect, I was a vice house prefect for the house Pluto, which was a yellow house in my school, Army Public School, Pune. I love that school, and I have to tell you about that school too. So I think it's the end of this recording session today. Recording date and time is 1:09 p.m. 11th of May 2019. There are a lot of things to talk about, but I think I covered a major part of the back end story, which was my family, my grandfather, my upbringing, my sister, and this camp. How this camp helped me be good to my sister, and how that was a big challenge for me. Maybe I can emphasize on why it was a challenge and sibling rivalry and everything. But since we are focusing on the podcast specifically, we will jump to the next topic, which would be APS Pune and the fun time I had over there. So that will be on the next podcast. I'm going to talk about my friends in that, and that will be amazing. So a shout out again to all the people who I already mentioned on this podcast. Sandy and Prem, I love you from the bottom of my heart. And Bhargavi, she was also a mentor for me. You are also a big part of my life because you introduced me to beats. And I will talk about this too. You introduced me to beats. And I love drumming now. So Bhargavi, she was Netra's mother. Thank you all. Thank you so much. How do I end this podcast? Oh my God, this was a podcast filled with a lot of gratitude. So what I'd like you to do as an audience would be to really go back to your past and see where is your calling coming from, who are the people who have really shaped you, and just feel grateful and reverent towards them. Till then, I'll meet you on the next podcast. Don't forget to follow me or subscribe to my content. Don't follow me, just view my content, subscribe to my content on @the_Tushaar, spelt with TUSH, two A's, spelt with two A's, TUSHAAR, _Tushar_broadcasting_CO, and _Tushar_times. The website for this podcast is www.thetushartimes.com. The email is thetusharshow@gmail.com. Sorry, the website is thetusharshow@gmail.com. And the Patreon link, where I send special material and updates and a lot of new content and a lot of crazy content and the best content in the world, is patreon.com/your_local_podcaster. You can also find me on Instagram @your_local_podcaster. I love you all deeply. I may record this last part and just keep pasting the same thing, but I may not do that too, because I have to show you the passion with which I really want you to with which I want you to subscribe to this content, because this is my livelihood and this is my life. And if you believe in me, I'll feel good and happy. I guess that's all I can say. But it'll help you believe in yourself that things like this are possible. I'll meet you again next time. Love you all.